All right. Hi, everybody. Come on in if you want. Yeah, I'm going to kick this off. It's 4:30 now, and if people are joining later, that's okay. I'm going to talk to you about Celo. So thank you for joining. I appreciate you folks being here. Looking forward to seeing what kind of ideas you have. And if you need any help, look for people with bright yellow shirts. We are in the one of the main halls. So yeah, I want to talk about Celo today. Celo is a blockchain protocol. I can't move this. A blockchain protocol that is built for what we believe is prosperity for all. The blockchain started with a focus on mobile user experience, so trying to help people reach people through their mobile devices, it being the most common computer that people have access to. And first off, I just want to say who I am. My name's Eric Nakagawa. I'm actually from San Francisco, and I'm happy to be here in Tokyo, and looking forward to meeting each of you. I lead the developer relations team for the Celo Foundation, and I have here Anna and a bunch of folks at our booth who are here to help out throughout this whole thing. So we'll be here with you as long as we can. We've got Anna, Harpal, Daniel, and Viral. So I'll talk about what's Celo, we'll do some demos, then we'll talk through bounties, because I think you folks are going to want to know how to maximize your chances for winning a bounty from Celo, from the Celo prizes. So like I said before, Celo is kind of built with a focus on prosperity for all. We actually launched the project back on Earth Day, which is coming up, by the way, next week, back in 2020. And when Celo started, we didn't have the word regenerative finance. What we had kind of focused on was social impact, climate, and things like that. But now with the word regenerative finance, it's allowed us to have a better word or term to use to kind of describe the work that we do. And the way that we look at the work that we do on Celo is to focus on more than just the financial impact. We also want to figure out a way to have an additional change that in many cases can be climate, it can be helping your community. And some of the projects that have been built on Celo focus on refi, and actually some of the early kind of leaders in some of the in the space have been around the concept of universal basic income. There's a project on Celo that I love called Impact Market, which helps to distribute money to people all around the world through a UBI kind of concept. Another one that recently joined Celo, it's a project you should take a look at. It's called Good Dollar. Good Dollar is also another project that helps to distribute money to people where they need it. And actually one of the projects here, if you're looking at bounties, Superfluid launched on Celo to support Good Dollar, support Good Dollar's migration to Celo. And so if you're looking for bounties to stack, take a look at Superfluid. They are launched on mainnet, not on testnet right now. But if you folks need some help, come find us. We can help you get set up with Celo. You don't need a lot of tokens to deploy your contracts. Other things that Celo has helped focus on has also been natural capital-backed currencies, and that means things like land and trees and like tokenizing that. And this is very common nowadays, but just remember 2 years ago, nobody was really talking about this, and we're happy to be a part of and like have so many more people joining this community with us. Other things that actually attracted me the most to Celo was the concept of community currencies. I'm from Hawaii. I live in San Francisco, but I'm from Hawaii. And the concept of the value of land being given to the people to do something with it, I think has been really, really powerful. And I've actually benefited from some people that have locked away land for Native Hawaiians. Also kind of creating money without debt, or nurturing a community, nurturing the community of people that are building these things that are either climate focused or social impact focused. We also won a prize, which is cool. We won a Crypto Award last year. I'm very happy to be recognized. So what is Celo? Celo is L1. So if you're thinking like, how does this help me? If you're writing Solidity this weekend and you're going to be deploying your contracts, you can deploy to Celo. It's EVM compatible, and it allows you to a lot of tooling that we'll get into that can help you to deploy your contracts. We also have a bunch of core contracts that can help you out. There are several stable coins that are over collateralized stable coins that can be used as a core part of if you're building like a DeFi thing. You can support CUSD, which is a USD type stablecoin, C Euro, C Real. So you have some support for Brazilian users out there. And then, as I mentioned before, Celo was launched with a focus on mobile. And what we mean by that is everybody here has a phone. I'm pretty sure of it. But how many people have you met with a phone that don't have a crypto wallet? It's actually very common. So one of the cool features that Celo had built from the beginning has been a concept of being able to send money to a phone number. And the way that it works is very straightforward. If the phone number, you do a lookup, and if that phone number has a wallet address, you just send to that wallet address. If it doesn't have a wallet address, you can set up an escrow so that when that phone number is attached to a wallet, it can then release those funds. And so it's a great way to onboard a lot of people. So again, I don't know. I'd love to hear some of your ideas, kind of areas of focus. But if you're trying to build for Global South or any sort of like emerging market, or you're looking for ways to help onboard new people into the space, not just people that have been in, crypto space for a long time, or they still call it crypto like me, but into the Web3 space, then take a look at some of those tools. And one of those tools would be called Otis, which is a way to securely prevent people from kind of just like attacking the service to figure out who's in your address book. And account Social Connect, which is phone number support. And then we've also started adding support for things like GitHub and other social accounts that just help you to send money on Celo without needing a wallet address. If you look at how many people are using Celo, these numbers are a little bit outdated, over 1 million unique wallets. And seeing where people are based, it's quite a large number of people, again, spread in Latin America, across Europe, in parts of Asia. And we're really proud of the number of people that are using Celo. In addition to the people that are using it, there's a lot of companies that also support this. So Celo has over 200 members of the Alliance for Prosperity, which is a commitment for organizations to support reaching Celo's goal of prosperity for all. From I think within the first month of launch, Celo introduced the concept of carbon offsets. So from the beginning, we've had a bunch of offsets in place, and it's offset a large number of CO2. There are actually some new proposals coming out that will actually increase the amount that goes towards offsetting through both validator awards opting in, as well as increasing the amount that's being burnt towards the offset fund. There's over 1,000 projects built on Celo. Again, these numbers are very round. It sounds big, but there's a lot of real people building projects on Celo. And I mentioned projects like Good Dollar, Impact Market. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of all sorts of projects. And again, these numbers are a little bit outdated, but over 200 million transactions on Celo. I think last time I saw it was like around 250. So a ton of people throughout the world. Here's just a kind of a quick glimpse of users across over 150 countries. So when you're building on Celo, you're building to potentially help people in all these different countries all over the world. And we're really excited to see what you can build. So as I mentioned before, Celo is L1. It's proof of stake. And what that means is nowadays it's a little bit different, but it means just there's very fast finality. So if you make a transaction, it gets settled very, very quickly. And it can be useful for people that are building financial services, and they want to make sure that when something is completed, it's completed and submitted on chain. I'd mentioned the optimization for mobile first development. In addition to the phone number mapping, we also have some mobile ZK type support for lightweight mobile clients. I don't know if you can really work on that in a hackathon, to be honest, but something to think about when you're trying to build out your plan, your growth plan for your project, if you do decide to turn it into something bigger. One cool feature that I like about Celo is, again, when you're starting with somebody who doesn't have a wallet, and they only have a phone number, and they then associate their mobile phone with their mobile number with their wallet and tie that together. How do they transact, right? Like, how do you start from no tokens or no gas? How do you pay for gas? One of the things that Celo does offer is being able to pay for gas with some of the stables. So you can pay with CUSD, CEuro, CRL, and the main Celo token. And the reason that this is, I think, really cool is, again, you could say, onboard some person, give them, take their number, deposit, I don't know, a penny, and then have enough gas to transact as much as you need in that short amount of time until they actually either bring in some funds or do something of value on the chain. So that paying with ERC20 tokens is a great benefit, and that number of tokens that are supported can expand. In fact, Good Dollar right now is looking to include their token as a method for paying for gas. And the reason I think that's exciting is that could help to onboard tons of more people just with Good Dollar to pay for their tokens. It's not here yet. It's a governance proposal that's coming together, and very exciting. We also have a bunch of regen or refi type building blocks. So Toucan recently announced retirement of carbon, and that's pretty cool. I've never actually done that until recently. I've heard about the concept of carbon, but never actually did something with it. I mean, even still today, I can't even, what does it look like? Is it in my, it's hard to touch and reach, but like if you can do something on chain like that, and this interests you, take a look at Toucan, who's deployed on mainnet and available to you to build this weekend. The community is decentralized, and just like every project, I mean, it seems obvious, but there's a lot of community proposals that actually, I think someone here, Juan from the community is actually here, he's a volunteer, has been helping to create a DAO to focus on Latin America. So people that are trying to start things in Latin America can go directly to the people that know the things that the problems they're trying to solve, and allows them to propose to those groups. We have also a bunch of cross-chain interoperability. Out here, there's Hyperlane. Hyperlane is another project you can consider as if you're trying to stack your bounties. They, if you're building for Hyperlane, include Celo. They are they supported Celo kind of early on, and they're built. Some of the team from Celo started that company, and it's a very, very friendly space. I mentioned the stable coins, and then transaction fees are very low. It's proof of stake, so it's extremely low, and really I think good for just doing either a high volume of transactions or not impacting the user, so you're not like spending a lot of, you're not having to second guess how much you're going to spend on these transactions. We have a bunch of primitives. I know this is very hard to see which projects are supported on Celo, but some of the ones that I'm most excited about is our recent work around Chainlink. Is still not on launched yet, but working on that. I mentioned Impact Market. There's full MetaMask support, so you can just swap in the chain quite easily. If you're looking for a mobile wallet, take a look at Valora, and then also Opera. Again, there's tons of little icons that, if you zoom in, I'm sure you've heard of these projects and protocols. There are several AMMs like SushiSwap. We have Uniswap as well, and I mentioned some of the other projects like Good Dollar and others like that. So there's a lot, and I think you have all the tools you need to build. In addition to the tooling that's there, there's also a lot of projects or companies helping to kind of, again, commit to the Alliance for Prosperity. I mentioned 200 of them. Some of them include Mercy Corps, T-Mobile runs validators on Celo, Grameen Foundation, Impact Market now runs a validator. So a lot of great projects helping to secure the network in addition to building on top of Celo. And then as you're thinking about, the refi and what that means, think about like building your smart contracts with some purpose beyond, of course, it's a hackathon, but can it do more than, just accrue value? Can it actually have an impact beyond that? There are also, upon launch, I mentioned that a portion of the reserve was going to offset carbon, and right now I think the amount's like 0.5%. With some of the new changes that are coming, it's going to be much larger. I'm excited about that. And if you're building into the refi space, consider building your project and pitching it to Climate Collective, which is a fund that actually invests in climate projects. Again, I had mentioned on-chain carbon assets. If you go to celoreserve.org, you can see the full list of where where that's all going, and you can double check. In terms of actually building this weekend, you can launch on Infura. Infura supports Celo. There's also QuickNote. I think they might be a sponsor. And then Lava, if you're looking for a more decentralized endpoint infrastructure. In terms of refi or tools to use, take a look at Toucan, I mentioned, Impact Market, and one of my new favorites is called Spirals, which actually takes staking rewards and actually just redirects them for you to a bunch of climate protocol or climate options. For cross-chain messaging, they don't like you saying that, calling everything a bridge. Take a look at Hyperlane. There's also Allbridge, Portal, and XLR support. And then Oracle's Chainlink coming soon. We also have Redstone, Pyth, and Band, and some others. And Superfluid. I mentioned Superfluid. And for wallets, if you're building, I would be building using MetaMask. It's so easy. But if you're trying to get into multi-sigs, of course, include safe at safe.celo.org, deployed by the safe team. And then finally, when you're troubleshooting your transactions, Etherscan's on Celo, but we call it Celo Scan because everything has its own name. So use that for troubleshooting your smart contracts on both testnet and mainnet. And then same thing for explorer.celo.org. That's the alternative blockchain explorer. So what I want to do is just show a quick project. I know you folks can't really build until 8, so you got a couple more hours. But if you're looking to just prototype and build something really quickly, I wanted to demonstrate Celo. So what we call Celo, it's actually called ETHGlobal Tokyo. You can scan this QR code if you're looking for a starter project. And this is just it running. What you'll get when you start it up is going to be a simple starter page with a video explainer, a storage protocol running, I think, on both mainnet and testnet. And this is really simple. It just takes numbers. And the reason that we pulled this together was Scaffold ETH is here, and Celo Composer, which this project is built on, is based off of Scaffold ETH. We just added a bunch of changes to make it a little bit easier. So if you're trying to build for React, we got you. If you're trying to build React Native, both Expo or non-Expo, you can use that. If you want to use Flutter, because some people prefer building in Flutter, you can use that. And then we also have Angular support too. So yeah, here's just a quick example. The reason that we wanted to give you folks this is you don't have much time, and anything we can do to kind of help out is great. We also embedded in this, we expose a subgraph just to help with iterating through the responses. And it's very simple. So this is it's already a published subgraph on the graph. And of course, demos don't work ever in real life, but trust me, these images are there. And you can use this to kind of jumpstart your project if you're going to be kind of doing NFTs or something like that, or if you're going to be publishing data in some sort of fashion that may need a way to iterate kind of quickly through that data without parsing it yourself. Take a look at the subgraph support. And then this is a little bit out there, but Masa Finance recently launched on Celo, and we've introduced just a quick lookup for, let me just kind of, this will not work. I think I own this one. So it's just a way to quickly look up, similar to like ENS, Masa.finance. Take a look at that. And again, these are just some example projects. There's more that we've included in the repo. So there's a couple branches. If you want to take a look at Spiral's implementation, we have that as well. We didn't want to include it here because it was still kind of, these things are, they might be not ready for production per se, but enough for a hackathon for sure. And then going back to my slides real quick. So yeah, I wanted to show you folks this, and then I wanted to show you Celo Composer. So if you're thinking that project seems a little bit too basic, you can use Celo Composer. And what Celo Composer can do is, just like with Scaffold.eth, you can quickly spin up a bare bones project. Just want to run through this real quick. Give me a second. So you can run this. I'm sure it'll work for you. It may not work for me. But you just run a command line, and you can just quickly choose. Oh, let me scroll down. Quickly choose like what you want to build. So you got React, React Native, Flutter, and Angular. And we built this to speed up time. This can get you started in like 5 seconds. I'm sure you don't need that much time. You can use 2 projects for accessing the Celo network, either React Celo or RainbowKit, and then Hard Hat or Truffle support. And it can come with a kind of a basic subgraph. Again, it depends what you're trying to build, but we're just trying to help you folks speed up the time to launch your project and make sure you folks don't get kind of caught up with stuff. Because it's based off of Scaffold ETH, they can help you out, but we are happy to answer any questions you folks might have. And another fun thing actually is I wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you folks this project. This one is funny. So someone in the community actually built a ChatGPT based off of our docs, and so you can quickly ask it like, which libraries support fee currency? Fee currency support is paying gas with ERC20 tokens. So you can just ask it. Let's see if this demo works. Oh my gosh, of course. Anyway, so you can ask it questions about how many validators are on Celo. You know how demos work. Oh, there we go. It actually came back. Okay, great. So it tells you any sort of information you might come up with. You can ask us. We're happy to help you out. But if you just have a quick question, just ask the Celo GPT project. The link is here in the presentation, and then I think we can also include it in our notes on the hackathon information page. So let's talk about bounties. Sorry for taking so long, but we're here. So we have 5 different prizes that we're going to be giving out. Climate refi focus, as I mentioned earlier, payments, DeFi, or any sort of any utilization of stablecoins, you'll be good there. Public goods and sort of community type efforts. If you're trying to build something that's more DAO focused, consider the DAO NFT gaming section. And then finally, wildcard, we're just going to choose the best project that comes through. If you're looking for ideas for the climate refi bounty, take a look at topics like natural capital tokens. If you're building an oracle, if you want to add incentives, if you want to add liquidity for natural capital tokens, staking, regenerative finance, or anything that offers stability. For payments, it could be lending front ends, use cases for cross-border payments, cross-chain lending protocols. Using Superfluid will count here specifically. And then low liquidity asset pricing auctions. And then finally, using Mentostable. So I mentioned CUSD, CEURO, CREAL. For public goods, we are looking for projects that either have educational elements to it, some sort of content production, either from the community or from your team, increasing awareness about Celo. That's more obviously helping benefit get the word out about Celo. And then for DAOs, most of these are going to be DAO focused, but ways to kind of like create the concept of like more fractional DAOs, more education. Some of these may overlap, and you can apply for both if you think your idea fits. The concept of dissolvable DAOs, like what happens when our job is done and we're able to move on? What does that look like? And then in the concept of NFTs, more dynamic type NFTs, we're interested in seeing those, especially if there's a refi component, especially with refi having a change in our planet. It should be able to reflect that on an NFT. Some sort of carbon NFT mechanism, play to earn, but with an offset component, some sort of carbon offset. And then final wildcard, we're going to look for things that are more experimental, maybe more researchy, so like offline transactions, anything that deals with privacy. Take a look at Plumo, which is our project that helps to create a lightweight client, mobile client, ZK mobile client. We've been looking for ways to see someone in the community build a WASM-like client, some sort of better way to kind of estimate gas. So like gas estimation is generally hard, but something that could be better than what we currently have on chain would be nice. And then some sort of method for in the community, like voting on proposals, things like that. And as I mentioned before, when Celo started, we aimed for mobile, the mobile use case. And the challenge with the mobile use case is you're dealing with people who might not be technology literate or number literate. And so can you design a browser that can work for folks that aren't familiar with English kind of designs and layouts. And then finally, again, these are more researchy, but like referral rewards or cashback programs. For the specific criteria, it's actually not that complicated for us. We're just looking that your project matches one of the Celo bounties. If you have a question, come and see us. If you are stacking your projects, here's a couple here that we're happy to talk to you about. So Superfluid, Hyperlane, as I mentioned, Safe, Uniswap, and Graph subgraphs. The main technical criteria is I'm expecting really cool projects, but like you got to deploy your contract to testnet or mainnet. And demonstrate it to somebody on our team. There's about 5 of us, so you should definitely have an opportunity to find someone to demonstrate, and that's pretty much it. So we wish you all the best of luck. We will be hanging out both physically here, and for folks who are working remotely, or if they're not here right now, they're watching the stream, we'll be in the Celo sponsor Discord channel, and that's it. Go. I think I have a little bit of time for Q&A if anybody has specific questions, and if we run out of time, I think we only have like 3 minutes. Happy to have a conversation outside or away from the next speaker. Any questions? No? Okay, cool. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.